Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. If you're new here to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It helps YouTube to promote the channel and it helps me to grow. So, if you have space in your home that's vacant and you want to make some money on it, I can show you ways on how to get it rented. Now, maybe it's a basement apartment or it's an extra room or a den. But creating space and generating income doing it is a great way to get passive income. The first option I'm going to talk about is renting out your space using Facebook groups. Now, Facebook Marketplace is a great way to promote your rental space and get it seen by a lot of people who are on Facebook every day. So you can find these Facebook groups. It's called Facebook Marketplace, and you can post your rental space there. You describe it, you know, the type of space it is. Is it shared with anybody, or is it onto its own? Describe the room. Is it furnished, or can people bring their own furniture? And obviously the price. So maybe it's an apartment building, or it can be a home, a single dwelling home. It can be a townhouse, it can be an apartment, it can be a boathouse. There's many different types of space that you can rent out if you're not using it, and you know, it really adds to your income to help you live a more comfortable life. This is also a great way that you can meet people too, whether it's locally or people from all over the world. So Facebook groups is definitely a good way to post your rental space. A lot of college and university students are looking for off-campus housing, and this is a great resource for you that you can post your listing for free. So again, put in all the details of your listing, whether it's furnished, unfurnished, maybe you provide meals, you can charge more if you do that. You know, do you offer Wi-Fi? Do you offer cable? These are other bonuses that you can include in your listing and charge more to make it more enjoyable. And again, Facebook groups is a great way to post your listing, and it is free. So tap into those networks using Facebook Marketplace and college and university groups. Typically, you have to click to join the group, and they may have some questions to answer. They may not, depending on who's moderating the group. But it is a really good method to get your listing out there. Another free method to use for posting your space is Kijiji. On Kijiji, there is a section where you can post rentals. You can choose from short term to long term, and then you go and follow the prompts. You create a title, you know, description, you talk about your rental space, and then you select a price. When posting your rental on Kijiji, you want to be strategic. Typically, people go on Kijiji on the weekends and the evenings. So time your posting carefully. Maybe you want to post it on a Friday night, or maybe you want to post it early on a Saturday morning to get the most out of your listing, because with Kijiji, it goes down to other pages very fast. People are constantly posting every day. And then eventually your listing is going to get pushed down to further and further pages. You can pay about $8 to get your listing boosted to the top, and this can run for a few days to a week. That can get expensive after a while, or you can take the listing down for a few days, wait, and then repost it, but modifying it slightly so you don't get knocked for, you know, kind of manipulating the system. So, I mean, Kijiji is a resourceful method. It is free, and you can post it within your city, and, you know, again, it gets seen by many, many people. PadMapper is a good resource because you can also see listings in your area. You can see how many other people are renting in your area, how close they are, the price ranges, what they offer. So you can kind of gauge the competition and how your listing can be different. Now, PadMapper is free to use. You can list your property, multiple properties on it. It is also free to use for people who are looking for housing. So it's a win-win. When I first rented my place out, I put the posting on Kijiji as well as the university and college rental housing sites. Now, these sites are specifically affiliated with the schools, so there is a small fee that you have to pay, like maybe $40 for the month. But I thought it was worth it because it catered specifically to that school and their student demographics, right? So instead of just only relying on Facebook groups, which are free, I decided to pay the fee and hope for the best. In the beginning, I got a few inquiries here and there, emails responding back to my posting, you know, asking questions like maybe how close is it to a certain school in terms of commuting, or you know, trying to negotiate price, things like that. I did have a few people come and look at it. Typically people who come and look at your unit, your home, whatever it might be, are quite serious. So they want to see what it looks like. They don't want to just rely on pictures. But keeping in mind, pictures are really important too when people are looking at your listing, because that's the first thing they see. You want to have clear, bright, very neat looking pictures. You can take them with your phone or your camera, or you can have them professionally done. But it's just important to make the pictures look very nice. Make sure the area is clutter-free. There's natural lighting, or if you're able to edit the lighting, you can do that as well. But I would say have about 6 pictures or more that go over the space, each room, you know, kitchen, living room, dining room, bedroom, things like that, because that's the first thing they see, and that's going to entice them to come and book an appointment to actually view the space. Early on, I had these boys who were college students in their early years of college who were pretty interested in my space. So they came, they took a look at it, and they were interested in it, but I wanted to wait and entertain other people to see, you know, who else would be interested in it. I wasn't sure how credible the students were, and again, keeping in mind students don't have credit. They typically don't, because they're not working, they're in school, so you have to come up with other ways of validating who they are, validating their character, their reliability, and their ability to pay rent. You may have to even ask them who's paying the rent. Is it going to be them, or is it going to be their parents? In which case you have to validate the parents and find out if the parents are credible and able to pay the rent on behalf of their children. So I entertained other people coming to see the unit. Maybe about a week later, I had a university professor who was flying in to teach for a year at a local university, and she was very interested in the place. She actually came to me with her credit report, and the only thing with her though was she had 2 dogs. So I considered that, because I wasn't opposed to renting out my space if people had pets. I think that it's an important aspect of someone's livelihood when you have a pet, and I was willing to say yes, because I don't have anything against pets, and as long as they take care of the pet and they take care of the home, then you really have nothing to worry about. You know, taking a security deposit is important too. If there are any damages that come up along the way, at least you have that to rely on. And if the damage exceeds the security deposit, then they're liable to pay that. So, I mean, her 2 big dogs, I mean, there was a question mark for me, but it's just something I had to think about. And again, think about the reliability of the prospective tenant coming in, her ability to pay, her character, her credit report, and her length of time. She was willing to stay for at least a year, sign a 1-year lease, and then after that it becomes month to month. So I took some time. She was ready to sign the lease, ready to give me a deposit for some last month's rent. So I took a day to think about it, and then I got back to her saying, yes, let's do it. Let's proceed with the paperwork. And then all I got was silence. I didn't hear back from her that day. I made multiple calls to her, several emails, and nothing. It was like she ghosted me. So here was this perfect candidate for my home, and she was so eager to rent it, you know, ready to make her deposit right away, credit report and everything, and then you don't hear back from her. So that was disappointing. I think she took about 48 hours before she got back to me via email, and she said, sorry, but she is also having her significant other move in with her, and she didn't feel that the place was big enough. So sometimes when, you know, you have this perfect candidate right in front of you and they're so eager, and you decide, yeah, this is great, go for it, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them. So these are things that can happen along the way, and you have to expect them, that nothing is for sure. It is a whole process that you have to go you know, go through checking credit and filling out an application and going over their, you know, credit report, and just really screening, doing the right pre-screening for that individual or individuals coming into your place, because you want to make sure that you want to lower as much risk as possible to avoid problems happening down the road. So back to the two students, the two male students who wouldn't leave me alone. They were constantly emailing me about the place. You know, they're like, Natasha, we're still really interested in it. Please consider us. Have you found anybody yet? And it actually came down to the point where I was actually ready to move because I had to go. And eventually I just said yes. I had them fill out the application. I had them send me their ID, their student acceptance letters, how long their program was for. Like this is the way that I did my verification on them, because they didn't have credit and this was the only other way, right? So again, I was ready to leave. I needed somebody in there. They were persistent, they were eager, and eventually I said yes. So I said yes to the college boys. I took a risk, and they ended up staying about 2 years. They were high maintenance. There were some things that I had to come and check up on them ever so often, make sure the unit was clean, because it wasn't. It was atrocious. So then, you know, I thought about hiring a professional cleaner to come in and build that into the rent. So these are things that you have to do, and sometimes you learn these things along the way, because they say they can clean, but really everybody's definition of clean is different. So keep that in mind if you're renting out to college or university students. Have a professional cleaner come in once or twice a month, because they don't have time. They're too busy with their studies and they don't know how to clean typically. There may be one or two off that have been trained to do so, but typically their version of clean is different from yours. So I mean, and that was my first experience renting to tenants, were to college boys. So you know, maybe the ideal candidate you might have in mind is not so ideal, and you have to take what comes to you. I hope you guys have found this information useful, and it will be, you know, a starting point for you in renting out your space. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It does help me and it helps the channel to grow. So here's to living a resource-rich lifestyle. Take care.